If you are over 60 and you have noticed that your legs feel a little stiffer in the morning, that your balance is not quite what it used to be, or that you run out of energy long before the day is actually finished, I need you to stop scrolling right now and listen to the next 60 seconds, because what I am about to show you has genuinely changed the way thousands of people move, walk, and feel every single day. And it costs nothing, takes 10 minutes, and does not require you to leave your living room. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do tomorrow morning, the very first 10 minutes after you wake up, to start rebuilding your balance, waking up your legs, and giving yourself real, lasting energy again. And before we go any further, I want you to do one small thing for me. Down in the comments, I want you to type the word starting if you are ready to try this tomorrow morning, or type your age if you are comfortable sharing it, because I read every single comment, and I promise you, seeing that you are here ready to take this step is exactly the kind of thing that keeps this channel going and keeps me making videos like this one. So type it now, keep watching, and let's get into it together. Let's be honest with each other for a moment. Getting older is not something anyone warns you about properly. Nobody tells you that one day you will stand up from the couch and your knees will announce themselves before your brain even finishes the thought. Nobody tells you that walking to the mailbox, something you did 1,000 times without a second glance, might one day come with a small flicker of worry about whether your footing is steady enough. Nobody tells you that by the time you reach your 60s, 70s, or 80s, simply getting out of bed can start to feel like the first workout of the day before you have even had your coffee. If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to know two things right away. First, you are not alone. Not even a little bit. Millions of people your age are quietly dealing with exactly the same thing, wondering if this is just how it is going to be from now on. And second, and this is the important part, it does not have to be. These changes are common, yes, but common does not mean permanent, and it certainly does not mean unchangeable. Your body, no matter how many birthdays it has seen, is still capable of adapting, strengthening, and responding to the right kind of movement. That is not motivational fluff. That is simply how human physiology works at every age. So here's the question I want you to actually sit with for a second. What if 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, every single morning, could start to turn some of that around? What if a few simple movements done consistently could help you feel steadier on your feet, stronger in your legs, and noticeably more energetic by lunchtime? It sounds almost too simple, I know. We live in a world that tells us we need fancy equipment, expensive gym memberships, complicated programs, and hour-long workouts to see any kind of real change. But that is simply not true, especially not for what we are talking about today. Small, consistent habits repeated day after day are almost always more powerful than occasional bursts of intense effort. And what I am going to walk you through in this video needs nothing more than a safe patch of floor, a sturdy chair, and about 10 minutes of your morning. Before we get into the actual routine, I think it helps enormously to understand what is happening inside your body as you get older, because once you understand the why, the what becomes so much easier to stick with. As we age, our muscles naturally begin to shrink and weaken. This is a real measurable process, and doctors have a name for it. They call it age-related muscle loss. It is not something you did wrong. It is not a personal failing. It is simply part of the aging process, in the same way that hair can turn gray or eyesight can change. But here is the part that matters most. This process is not something you are powerless against. Muscle tissue, even in your 70s, 80s, and beyond, responds to use. It responds to gentle, repeated challenge. Your body does not know how old you are when a muscle fiber is asked to contract. It simply responds to the demand placed on it. This gradual loss of muscle is what makes everyday tasks, the ones you never used to think twice about, start to feel more difficult. Walking a little further than usual, climbing a flight of stairs, carrying a bag of groceries in from the car, standing up out of a low chair without using your hands to push off. These are not dramatic events. They are quiet, everyday moments, but they add up, and they can slowly chip away at your sense of independence if nothing is done to counter them. At the same time that muscle is declining, balance and flexibility often decline too, and this combination is exactly what puts so many older adults at a higher risk of falling. I want to be careful here because I am not trying to scare you, I am trying to inform you, because knowledge like this is genuinely empowering. Falls are one of the leading causes of serious injury among people over 60, and that is a fact worth taking seriously, not with fear, but with action. The encouraging part, the part that I really want you to hold on to, is that a large number of falls are preventable. Not all of them. Life is unpredictable, but a meaningful number of them can be prevented through regular movement, through balance training, and through consistent strength-building exercises, exactly the kind we are about to walk through together, here is something that genuinely excites me every time I think about it. Research has shown, again and again, that seniors who take part in simple balance and strength exercises just a few times a week experience real measurable improvements. Better mobility, more muscle, greater independence in daily life. And this is not something that requires years of dedicated training to see. Even a short daily routine done consistently can produce meaningful improvements over a matter of weeks and months. Your body wants to adapt. It is built to adapt. All it needs from you is a reason to. So let's actually picture this together for a second. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, and instead of immediately reaching for your phone, instead of sitting quietly for the first hour of your day without moving, you decide to give your body just 10 minutes. 10 minutes to gently wake up your muscles, 10 minutes to loosen your joints, 10 minutes to get your heart pumping just a little faster and your blood moving a little more freely. Those 10 minutes are not just about exercise. They are about setting the tone for your entire day. They can improve your circulation, ease that morning stiffness you have gotten used to, activate the leg muscles that carry you through everything you do, and leave you feeling steadier and more confident with every single step you take afterward. Now let's get into exactly what this routine looks like, step by step, because I want you to walk away from this video actually knowing what to do, not just feeling inspired for 5 minutes and then forgetting it by tomorrow. We start gently always. The very first movement in this routine is simple marching in place. That's it. You stand tall, holding onto the back of a sturdy chair or a countertop if you need extra support, and you begin lifting your knees one at a time, as if you are marching very slowly on the spot. You do not need to lift your knees high, you do not need to rush, you are simply waking your body up. This small movement does more than you might expect. It gently raises your heart rate, it increases blood flow throughout your body, and it begins to activate the muscles around your hips, your knees, and your ankles, all of which play a critical role in how you walk and how steady you feel on your feet. Do this for about 1 to 2 minutes, breathing naturally, and already you will likely notice your body starting to feel a little more awake, a little more ready. From there, we move into one of the single most valuable exercises for anyone over 60, and that is the sit-to-stand movement, using a sturdy, stable chair. Here is how it works. You sit toward the front edge of the chair, feet flat on the floor, roughly hip-width apart. Then, using your legs as much as possible, rather than pushing off dramatically with your arms, you slowly stand all the way up, pause for a moment at the top, and then slowly lower yourself back down into the seated position. That is 1 repetition. You might start with 5 repetitions, and as you feel stronger over the coming weeks, you can gradually work your way up to 8 or 10. This single movement, standing up and sitting down, strengthens your thighs, your hips, and your glutes, and these are genuinely some of the most important muscles you have for maintaining your independence as you age. Every time you stand up from a get out of a car, or rise from the toilet, you are using exactly these muscles. Strengthening them is one of the most practical, real-world investments you can make in your own mobility. Next comes heel raises, and I want you to hold on to a countertop or the back of a sturdy chair for this one. Because balance can wobble a little here, and that is completely normal. Standing tall, you slowly rise up onto your toes, lifting your heels as far off the floor as feels comfortable. Hold that position for a second or two, and then slowly lower your heels back down. Repeat this for about 10 to 12 repetitions. What you are doing here is strengthening your calf muscles, and your calves play a bigger role in your balance than most people ever realize. Every time you walk, every time you shift your weight, every time you catch yourself from a small stumble, your calf muscles and ankle stability are working behind the scenes to keep you upright. Strengthening them, even gently, even from a standing position at your kitchen counter, is a genuinely powerful investment in fall prevention. After that, we move into one of my favorite parts of this whole routine, because it directly targets balance, and that is standing on one foot for a few seconds at a time. Now, I want to be very clear here. Please always have something sturdy nearby to hold on to. Whether that is a chair, a countertop, or a wall, especially when you are just starting out, there is absolutely no shame in using support. In fact, it is the smart, safe way to do this. Standing tall, you simply lift one foot slightly off the ground, holding your balance for as many seconds as you comfortably can, even if that is only 2 or 3 seconds to begin with. Then switch to the other leg. Over time, as your balance improves, you can hold the position a little longer, and eventually, you might find you barely need to hold on to anything at all. This exercise might look small, almost too simple to matter, but it is training your brain and your muscles to communicate and work together more efficiently, and that improved coordination is directly linked to a reduced risk of falling. To round out the routine, we finish with some gentle leg swings, a few slow side steps, and light stretching. For leg swings, holding onto a chair or countertop for support, you simply swing one leg gently forward and backward like a soft pendulum for about 8 to 10 swings, then switch legs. For side steps, you take a few slow, controlled steps to the side, first one direction, then the other, feeling your hips and outer thighs engage with each step. And finally, a few gentle stretches, reaching your arms overhead, gently rolling your shoulders, and softly stretching your calves and the backs of your legs, bring the whole routine to a close. These final movements help improve your flexibility and your joint mobility, and they are especially helpful for reducing that stiff, achy feeling so many people notice first thing in the morning. By the time you finish this last stretch, your body is genuinely prepared for whatever the rest of your day has in store. Now, before I go any further, I want to pause and ask you something. If you have been doing anything close to this already, or if you are planning to start tomorrow, drop a comment below and let me know which exercise you think will be hardest for you and which one you are most looking forward to. I genuinely want to know, and I read through these comments because they help me understand what you are all going through. And honestly, they help other people watching this video feel less alone in this too. So take 30 seconds, scroll down, and tell me. It really does make a difference both for me and for everyone else reading along. Let's talk now about everything this 10-minute routine gives you beyond just stronger legs and steadier balance, because the benefits genuinely go so much further than most people expect. One of the first things people notice is a change in their energy levels throughout the day. This makes complete sense when you think about it. Movement, even gentle movement, encourages healthy blood circulation, and that means oxygen and nutrients are being delivered more efficiently throughout your entire body, including your brain. Better circulation is directly linked to reduced feelings of fatigue. So instead of dragging through your morning and hitting a wall by early afternoon, many people find that starting their day with this kind of gentle activation actually gives them a more sustained, steady sense of energy that carries them further into the day. Beyond the physical energy boost, there is a genuine emotional and mental shift that comes with regular movement too. Physical activity stimulates the release of natural mood-boosting chemicals in your brain, the kind that help reduce feelings of stress and support a more positive emotional state. This is not something exclusive to young athletes or gym enthusiasts. It applies just as much, arguably even more, to older adults. Many people who commit to a short morning routine like this one report feeling noticeably happier, more mentally alert, and more motivated throughout their day simply because they gave their body and brain that early morning activation. There is something deeply grounding about starting your day having already accomplished something for yourself before the demands of the day have even begun. Then there is posture, something that quietly affects almost everything about how you move through the world, yet rarely gets talked about. As your leg muscles and your core grow stronger through consistent movement like this, your body naturally becomes better aligned. Strong legs and a strong core support your spine, they support your shoulders, and they make everyday movements, from reaching for something on a high shelf to bending down to tie your shoes, noticeably easier. Better posture also reduces unnecessary strain on your back and your joints, which over time can mean less discomfort and more comfortable, confident movement in general. Of course, I want to be completely honest with you, because that matters to me far more than making this sound like some kind of miracle cure. Exercise is only one piece of the puzzle when it comes to healthy aging. Staying properly hydrated throughout the day matters. Eating enough protein to support and maintain your muscle mass matters. Getting genuinely restful, quality sleep matters. And keeping up with regular medical checkups so that any concerns are caught early and managed properly matters too. All of these pieces work together, side by side with movement, to support strong muscles and genuine lasting wellness as you age. This 10-minute routine is a powerful piece of that puzzle, but I never want you to think of it as the only piece. Now, I know some of you watching this might be thinking about a specific health concern of your own, maybe arthritis, maybe some joint pain that flares up on certain days, maybe a level of limited mobility that makes you wonder if any of this even applies to you. I want to speak directly to you for a moment, because this matters. Please do not worry, and please do not feel like this routine is somehow not meant for you. Almost every single exercise we have talked about today can be modified to suit your own personal ability and comfort level. If marching in place feels like too much some mornings, you can simply shift your weight gently from side to side instead. If a full sit to stand feels too difficult right now, you can practice a partial stand or use your hands for extra support on the chair and gradually reduce that support over time as you get stronger. The most important guiding principle here is simple: move slowly, never push through genuine pain, and focus on steady, controlled movement rather than speed or repetition count. If you are living with a significant health condition, if you have had recent surgery, or if you have any real concerns about starting a new movement routine, please, before you begin, have a conversation with your doctor or healthcare provider. They know your specific situation, and their guidance should always come first. I also want to gently remind you of something that I think gets lost in a culture obsessed with intensity and quick results. Consistency matters so much more than intensity, especially when it comes to something like this. You do not need to exercise for an hour every single day to see real, meaningful change in your body. In fact, for most people over 60, that kind of approach is not only unnecessary, it can actually be counterproductive, leading to burnout, frustration, or even injury. 10 minutes performed regularly, morning after morning, week after week, can become an incredibly powerful habit, one that quietly builds strength, balance, and confidence day after day without ever feeling overwhelming. I want you to take a moment right now and really picture where you could be a few months from now if you commit to this. Picture yourself climbing a flight of stairs, and instead of that familiar heaviness in your legs, you notice it actually feels a little easier than it used to. Picture yourself walking around your neighborhood, maybe even a little further than you normally would, simply because it feels more enjoyable, more comfortable, less like a chore, and more like something you genuinely look forward to. Picture standing up from your favorite chair, the one you sit in every evening, and noticing that it requires noticeably less effort, less bracing. Picture yourself carrying your groceries in from the car, feeling steadier on your feet, more confident walking on uneven ground outdoors, and simply having more energy left over at the end of the day to do the things and see the people that you actually care about. None of these improvements happen overnight. I want to be honest with you about that, because I respect you too much to promise you an overnight transformation. But they do begin every single time with one simple decision, the decision to move your body even just a little, starting tomorrow morning. Here is something I really believe, and I want to leave you with it. Healthy aging is not about somehow becoming younger, and it was never supposed to be about that. It is about staying active. It is about staying independent. It is about remaining able to enjoy the people you love and the activities that bring you genuine joy for as many years as possible. Every single step you take today, even something as small as 10 minutes of movement tomorrow morning, is a real investment in your future mobility and in your future quality of life. That is not an exaggeration. That is simply how your body works. So here is what I want you to do. Tomorrow morning, before you settle into your usual routine, before the coffee, before the phone, before the day gets away from you, stretch a little, strengthen your legs, practice your balance, wake your body up gently, with intention, with patience, and with care. Your future self, the version of you a few months from now, walking a little easier, standing a little steadier, feeling a little more energetic, will genuinely thank you for it. And before you go, I want to ask you for two small things, because they truly do matter more than you might think. First, if this video gave you something useful today, something you are actually planning to try tomorrow morning, please leave a comment below and tell me. Tell me where you are starting from. Tell me what feels hardest. Tell me what you are hoping to feel better able to do again, whether that is playing with your grandchildren, traveling without worry, or simply walking to the end of your street with confidence. I read these comments, genuinely, and your words might be exactly what someone else scrolling through needs to see today to finally take that first step themselves. Second, if you found this helpful, please consider subscribing to this channel and turning on notifications, because we are going to keep building on this together with more simple, realistic routines designed specifically for people in exactly your stage of life. Healthy aging is built through small, daily choices, one morning at a time. Keep moving, stay consistent, nourish your body well, and genuinely celebrate every small bit of progress along the way, because it all counts and it all adds up. Stronger legs, better balance, greater confidence, and more energy. These are goals absolutely worth working towards starting tomorrow morning, 10 minutes at a time. Now, before we wrap up completely, I want to take a little extra time with you, because I think there are a few things worth clearing up. A few myths that I hear over and over again from people in exactly your situation, and I do not want those myths quietly holding you back from something that could genuinely change how you feel every single day. The first myth I want to address is the idea that it is somehow too late. I cannot tell you how many messages I receive from people who say something along the lines of "I am 72 now," or "I am 81 now. Surely it is too late for me to start building strength or improving my balance." I want to be very direct with you about this, because it matters. It is not too late. Study after study involving adults in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s has shown that muscle tissue continues to respond to consistent, appropriate movement, no matter how many years have passed. Your muscles do not check your birth certificate before deciding whether to adapt. They respond to what you ask of them today, this week, this month. Starting later than you wish you had does not erase the benefit. It simply means today becomes the most important day to begin. The second myth is the belief that if you were not naturally athletic when you were younger, this kind of routine is not really for you, that it is somehow reserved for people who were always active. This could not be further from the truth. In fact, some of the most meaningful transformations happen with people who spent most of their lives sitting at a desk, raising a family, running a household, or working jobs that never involved structured exercise at all. Your body does not require a history of athleticism to begin adapting now. All it requires is a starting point, and this 10-minute routine is designed to meet you exactly where you are, whether that is someone who walks daily already, or someone who has not done anything resembling structured movement in years. The third myth, and this one might be the most damaging of all, is the idea that feeling stiff, feeling unsteady, feeling low on energy is simply something you have to accept as an unavoidable part of getting older, something you just learn to live with quietly. I understand exactly why so many people believe this, because these changes do tend to creep in gradually, and when something happens slowly, over years, it can start to feel inevitable, almost invisible, until one day you look up and realize how much has changed. But gradual does not mean unstoppable. The very same gradual process that led to increased stiffness and reduced balance can be gently, steadily reversed, or at the very least significantly slowed and improved, through exactly the kind of consistent movement we have walked through today. Let's talk for a moment about what a realistic first week actually looks like, because I think this helps enormously with actually sticking to something new. On day one, you might find the whole routine takes closer to 12 or 13 minutes, because you are moving slowly, checking your form, getting comfortable with each movement. That is completely fine. There is no prize for speed here. You might find that 5 sit-to-stand repetitions feel genuinely challenging, and that single leg balance only lasts 2 or 3 seconds before you need to hold onto the chair again. All of that is normal, and none of it means you are doing anything wrong. By day 4 or 5, many people notice the marching in place starting to feel more natural, more fluid, less like a conscious effort and more like simply moving. By the end of the first week, even small improvements, an extra repetition here, 1 or 2 extra seconds of balance there, are genuinely worth celebrating, because they are proof that your body is already responding. I also want to talk about timing, because I get asked this a lot. Does it actually have to be first thing in the morning? Here is my honest answer. Morning tends to work best for most people for a few practical reasons. It happens before the day's responsibilities, phone calls, errands, and general busyness have a chance to crowd it out and quietly convince you there is no time left. It also directly addresses that morning stiffness so many people over 60 describe, easing your body into the day rather than forcing it into sudden activity later on. That said, if mornings genuinely do not work for your schedule or your body simply feels better moving later in the day, doing this routine consistently at any time of day is still enormously valuable. The most important factor by far is consistency, not the specific hour on the clock. Something else worth mentioning, because I think it gets overlooked, is how this routine can be gently adjusted as you progress. After a few consistent weeks, once 10 repetitions of sit-to-stand feels comfortable rather than challenging, you can begin holding light household items, a couple of soup cans or small water bottles in each hand while marching in place to gently increase the demand on your muscles. Once single leg balance starts to feel steady for 10 to 15 seconds, you might try lightly touching the chair with only one finger instead of gripping it fully, gradually training your body to rely a little less on that external support. These are small, natural progressions, and there is absolutely no rush to reach them. Some people take a few weeks to get there, others take a few months, and both are perfectly fine. I also want to spend a moment on something that rarely gets talked about openly, And that is the emotional side of all this. For many people over 60, noticing a decline in balance or strength does not just bring physical frustration, it can bring a quiet sense of worry about independence, about becoming a burden on family members, about what the future might look like if things continue on the same path. I want to acknowledge that honestly, because pretending it is purely a physical issue would not be truthful. But I also want you to hold on to something important. Taking action, even something as small as this 10-minute morning routine, is one of the most powerful things you can do to address that worry directly. Every session is not just building muscle, it is building genuine confidence. A felt sense that you are actively taking care of yourself, that you are not simply waiting to see what happens next. That shift in mindset from passive worry to active care matters just as much as anything happening in your muscles. I want to hear from you about this too, honestly. If any part of what I just described resonates with you, if you have felt that quiet worry about independence, or if you have already started noticing small wins from moving more, whatever it is, tell me in the comments below. This community, the people reading and commenting on this video, genuinely supports each other, and your comment might be exactly the encouragement someone else needs today. Let me also address a practical question I get asked constantly, and that is what to do on days when you simply do not feel like it. The mornings when your motivation is nowhere to be found. Here is my honest, practical advice. On those mornings, do not aim for the full 10-minute routine. Aim for 2 minutes. Aim for just the marching in place or just a single set of sit-to-stand repetitions. The goal on a low motivation day is not intensity. It is simply keeping the habit alive, keeping the thread unbroken. Momentum, in my experience, matters so much more than any single session. A shortened, imperfect routine that you actually complete will always serve you better than an ideal routine you keep postponing until tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow again. One more thing worth mentioning is how this routine tends to interact with the rest of your day, because the effects rarely stay contained to just those 10 minutes. People often tell me that once they finish the routine, their appetite for breakfast feels more natural, their mind feels a little clearer, and small daily tasks, making the bed, showering, getting dressed, feel a touch smoother. Almost as though the body has already been given permission to move well before it is asked to do anything demanding. Some people also notice that their afternoon energy dip, the one that used to send them reaching for a nap or a second cup of coffee just to get through the rest of the day, becomes noticeably less severe. None of this is magic, it is simply the natural downstream effect of starting your day with intentional movement instead of stillness. It is also worth saying clearly that progress here is rarely a straight line, and I do not want you to be discouraged if some mornings feel stronger than others. You might have a wonderful week where balance feels easier and your legs feel genuinely powerful, followed by a morning where everything feels stiff and slow again, seemingly for no reason. This is completely normal, and it happens to everyone at every age with every kind of exercise routine. Sleep quality, stress, hydration, and simply how your body is feeling on a given day all play a role. The goal is never a perfect upward line. The goal is simply showing up, doing what you reasonably can that day, and trusting that the overall trend, measured over weeks and months rather than single mornings, is what truly matters. I also want to briefly touch on footwear and your environment, because small details like this genuinely matter for safety. Try to do this routine in a space with good lighting, a clear, uncluttered floor, and ideally either bare feet or supportive, non-slip footwear, rather than loose slippers that could catch under your foot. Make sure the chair you are using is sturdy with no wheels and ideally positioned against a wall or in a corner so it cannot slide away from you unexpectedly. These small setup choices remove unnecessary risk and let you focus entirely on the movement itself, rather than worrying about your footing or your support. As we bring this video to a close, I want you to think back to how you felt at the very beginning when I first asked you about your legs feeling stiffer, your balance feeling less certain, your energy running out earlier than it used to. I hope that somewhere in the last several minutes, something shifted even slightly, from feeling like this is just how things are now, toward feeling like there is genuinely something within your control, something practical, something achievable starting tomorrow morning. You do not need to transform your entire life overnight. You do not need to become a different person. You simply need 10 minutes, a safe space to move, and the willingness to show up for yourself tomorrow morning, and then again the morning after that. That is genuinely how lasting change happens, not through dramatic overhauls, but through small, repeated acts of care for your own body day after day, week after week. So I will ask you one final time, and I really do mean this. Scroll down right now, while it is fresh in your mind, and leave a comment telling me you are ready to try this tomorrow morning. Tell me your biggest hope for how you want to feel a few months from now, whether that is walking without worry, playing with your grandchildren without getting winded, traveling confidently, or simply standing up from your chair without a second thought. Reading your comments, seeing this community grow and support one another is genuinely one of the most rewarding parts of making these videos, and I do not take a single comment for granted. Let me leave you with one last thought before you go. Somewhere out there, right now, is a version of you a few months from now. Someone who kept showing up for 10 minutes every morning, someone who marched in place, stood up from a chair, raised their heels, balanced on one foot, and stretched quietly, patiently, day after day. That version of you moves a little easier. That version of you worries a little less about the next flight of stairs or the next uneven sidewalk. That version of you has a little more energy left over in the evening for the people and the moments that actually matter. The only real difference between where you are right now and where that version of you stands is time and repetition, and both of those are already within your reach starting tomorrow morning. I also want to remind you that you are not doing this alone, even if you are moving through your living room by yourself. Everyone reading this comment section is on some version of the same path, some just starting out, some several weeks or months into their own routine. All of them working toward the same simple goal, staying strong, staying steady, and staying independent for as long as possible. So here is your very last task for today, and it takes less than a minute. Scroll down, open the comments, and simply write the word tomorrow, letting me and everyone else here know that you are giving yourself 10 minutes first thing when you wake up. If you want to share more, your age, what motivated you to watch this video today, or what you are hoping to feel able to do again, please do. I promise it will be read, and it might be exactly what helps someone else scrolling past feel a little less alone in this. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. That genuinely means a lot to me. Drop that comment, let me know you are in, subscribe if you would like more videos exactly like this one, and I will see you in the next video. This video is intended for general educational and informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for personalized medical advice. Please consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before beginning any new exercise routine, particularly if you have existing medical conditions, joint concerns, or any other health considerations.